The person who's looking at that house and saying, I'm up 100%, I'm looking at it and saying that house just got cheaper by 68%. Go back to before COVID, okay, the January 1st, 2020. Back then, in the town that I live, a middle-class home was around, maybe upper middle class, was around $500,000 to own a house if you were going to buy it. Today, that same exact house goes for $1 million. Okay. It's only been 4 years. 4 years in that house has appreciated. I'm using air quotes here because once you hear the math, this is going to blow your mind. Has appreciated to $1 million. Well, if you're a millennial or you're somebody that's trying to buy a house now, today, and not 4 years ago, listen to this math. That $500,000 house compared to the $1 million house today, because interest rates have changed, because inflation is now manifesting itself. Back then, that $500,000 house you could buy with a 3% interest rate loan. But today, that same house, that $1 million house, is 7%. So guess how much more expensive your monthly payment is on that house from just 4 years ago. It's not twice as much. It's 3.2 times higher than what it was just 4 years ago. So if your monthly payment on this house was, let me see what the numbers are here. Well, I did a net present value instead. So the net present value when the house was $500,000 at 3% was $758,000. Today, the net present value of that house is $2.4 million.
What?
Okay. Because it's $1 million at 7%. Okay. Now, here's the thing that's really going to blow your mind. You ready? That house back in 2020, in January of 2020, was 70.2 Bitcoin. Okay. You know what it is with the $1 million in fiat terms, what that house is in Bitcoin today? It's 22 Bitcoin. Okay.
Wow.
So that's a 68% reduction in the price of this house for a person that uses Bitcoin as their unit of account. The house price went down by 68% in the Bitcoiners world, but in the fiat person's world, the price went up by 100%. It's twice as much, right? This is why people can't understand this, because a person who's looking at this that just looks at Bitcoin as being some made up Mario coin internet money is looking at this and saying, oh, if I would have just been able to buy a house back in 2020, I'd have 500,000 bucks. If I levered it, if I levered up, I would have $500,000 in my bank account. Right? That's what the no coiner is telling themselves. They're being rope-a-doped into this old legacy system by the numbers and what they think is increase in buying power. But for the Bitcoiner, they're looking at this and they're saying, I do not want to move from the house that I'm in right now. I don't want to buy the bigger house. I don't want to buy, because the value of this thing is going to get cheaper by 68% every 4 years.
Wow.
It's mind-blowing. And I think the numbers are so the numbers are so lost on people because people don't look at Bitcoin performance in 4-year periods of time. If there's one thing I would highly encourage for you to talk to family and friends about is holding periods under 4 years get more and more speculative as you get further to the left in that timeline. So like if you're talking a month's performance of Bitcoin, it's insanely speculative. Once you get to that 4-year threshold, I don't think it's speculative at all. And the proof in the pudding of that is, you ever see the circular chart with the price, how it never penetrates a previous period of time, 4 years? Yeah. Rational Root has an amazing chart on this. That is the thing that you got to focus on, is a 4-year holding period, because it's truly investment at the 4-year holding period, at least based off of historical performance. And if people can somehow shift their line of thinking to this as their unit of account and holding period, let me tell you, like, your life just starts changing in dramatic ways. Because I'm the person who's looking at that house and saying, I'm up 100%. I'm looking at it and saying that house just got cheaper by 68%.